It's going to be a tough evening, and it's not even halfway over yet. Our next guest is Christopher Hitchens, contributing editor with Vanity Fair magazine, where he writes a monthly column. He's breaking his own fan club. Maybe it's Sid Blumenthal over there. Anyway, he also writes a column for The Nation. Christopher has worked on many publications in London and U.S., including the Daily Express, Harper's, The Spectator, and the Times Literary Supplement. He was a book critic at New York Newsday. He has written several books, including one on Mother Teresa called The Missionary Position. And he has written and presented a number of documentaries for British television. I'm not making that up. It says that right here. Welcome, our friend from Britain, Christopher Hitchens.
Just the live one. It's kind of my theme is sadness and melancholy, ladies and gentlemen. It is sort of sad, isn't it, that there are so many of you with nothing better to do on a fine evening like this. Don't think I'm not going to do some of these things. Earth tones. Shouldn't you already know when you're in the toilet? Do you remember when Bob Strauss had a list of things to do in Washington, how to live, how to be, what things cost? He said if you want a friend, get a dog. Now it's if you want a friend, hire a wolf. Does that compute? I don't go for political jokes very much, and as I say, I'm having a fit of the blues, but it did occur to me while I was waiting out there that what Warren Beatty has already done to American womanhood is what Mr. Clinton has only succeeded in doing to the country. How many times, everyone talks about him as if he was sexy. I can't personally stand that. How many times before have you heard a man say, no, it wasn't sex because she didn't feel a thing? And I can prove it. I thought the real problem with Washington, because if you laugh at a lot of these jokes, you know, it's like Mark Russell with the elephants and the donkeys, or considering Herblock a cartoonist, it's too sad-making. Have a little ditty about loneliness and what it's like to be ostracized and upset and unwanted. And it goes like this. It was early last September. As near as I remember, I was falling down the street in drunken pride when I fell into the gutter, thinking thoughts I dare not utter. And a pig came up and lay down by me side. As I lay there in that gutter, thinking thoughts I dare not utter, a fair young maid came by and she did say, you can tell a man who boozes by the company he chooses. And at that the pig got up and walked away. And the pig got up, slowly walked away. Because what I think, you see, maybe, thank you. You're very good, you're very kind. You're most kind, you're most kind. Because what I think, and I may be in the right melancholy frame of my, is the problem with Washington is solitary vice. Solitary vice, the sin of Onan, and the unwillingness of people to admit to it. I'm thinking of the vice both obscene and unsavory, holds the Bishop of London in slavery. With lascivious howls, he deflowers young owls that he lures to an underground aviary. That kind of sin. I'm not thinking of the sort of more cheerful kind, you know, where the pilot... This is about a Delta male, by the way. The pilot, it's an easy takeoff. He slumps back, tells the passengers the usual stuff, then throws the microphone back hangs it up, and says to his co-pilot, geez, well, that's over. All I need now is a cup of coffee and a blowjob. But he hasn't hung it up right, and it echoes down the cabin. So one of the stewardesses... Did you see that Senator Kennedy, by the way, on the Stewardship Act of the Prevention Treaty, referred to it as the Stewardess Act 3 times before it was taken out of the congressional record? That's actually true. So the stewardess, hearing this and panicking for the back, runs up the aisle to tell what's happening in the cockpit and alert them. And as she runs up the aisle, someone shouts rather heartlessly, "Hey, lady, don't forget the coffee." I just sit alone making pathetic word games for myself. I look out of the window, I look down again at the console. I just do sad, lonely word games. Trivial. Pathetic, really. The one I'm working on now is one where you just take any well-known phrase or saying, which has the word heart in it, replace it with the word dick. It cheers me up, sometimes. For example, bury my dick at Wounded Knee. I left my dick in San Francisco. Dick Break Hotel. The dick is a lonely hunter. The dick has its reasons. It can really, you know, a whole day go by. And so, but I'll tell you what the payoff is. The payoff is that every time you hear someone refer to the heartland, a sort of wintry smile can creep across your face. I'm going back to the heartland. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah. Now, it's my view, and I think my time is upon me, and anyway, it's best to cut these things short and go back and be alone again. It's been very nice of you to come. My view has always been that the old jokes are the best, but the long jokes are the best of all. And thinking of the loneliest guy I could think of, the most sad, dejected, miserable, empty figure of all, Richard Nixon. I actually thought of a story that's true, that I thought I'd share with you. It seems that when he went to China, the thing had to be scrambled in rather a hurry. You probably remember this. It had to be kept a bit secret. He asked his advisors, what are we going to get when we get there? What's going to happen? They said, well, we don't think you're going to meet Mao Zedong right away, Mr. President. Probably a dinner in the Great Hall of the People, and probably with Zhou Enlai. And he said, okay, what should I know about this Zhou Enlai? They said, well, Mr. President, he's very interested in history from a Marxist point of view. I know that, says Nixon. And very interested in the ironies of history. So Nixon says, that's what you got for me? History from a Marxist point of view with ironies. They said, that's it, Mr. President. So it gets in. It's true. It is the Great Hall of the People. It's a banquet. Zhou Enlai is sitting opposite him, looking. You may remember Zhou Enlai, very impassive, very beautiful, very Mandarin-like. Nixon's task is to make conversation. Says, history's a hell of a thing, isn't it, Mr. General Secretary? Zhou Enlai agrees, nods. Full of ironies, says Nixon, skipping the Marxist bit a bit. Zhou Enlai says, yeah, I think so. For example, says Nixon, I once ran against a guy called John Kennedy for president. Yeah, we saw that, Mr. President. And he beat me. Yeah, we got that here too. And then, by now, the perspiration is dripping from Nixon's features. I think he's dying there. He thinks, well, he said, look, then not long after the man who beat me was killed, slain, cut down by an assassin's bullet. Zhou Enlai said, yeah, we saw that too. Nixon is drowning by now. He said, but now suppose, Mr. General Secretary says, suppose that instead of that bullet, that ironically, that bullet had gone instead through your great antagonist, the man who you were quarreling with, Mr. Nikita Khrushchev. Think how history would have been different then. And Zhou Enlai perks up and says, oh, actually, I can think of something that would have been really different. And Nixon thinks, bingo. At last, he says, sobbing with gratitude, says, well, what would that have been? Zhou Enlai says, well, I don't think Aristotle Onassis would have married Mrs. Khrushchev. Well, it all happened, and you've been very, very nice to me indeed, and it's great, and what an audience, and thank you very much indeed.